What's up guys, Jonah Mathis here. Today I'm going to be comparing Sony's new HT-A9 system paired with the Sony SA-SW5 subwoofer against the Sonos Arc system, which is made up of the Sonos Arc soundbar, the Gen 3 Sonos sub, and two Sonos One SLs used as surrounds. I'm not gonna lie, I love comparison videos like these. It really does give us a much better understanding of which system will truly perform the best in different scenarios. As you can imagine, both of these systems are extremely difficult to get your hands on right now. Both Sony and Sonos are struggling to keep stock and manufacture enough products to keep up with demand. I'm gonna do my best to squeeze as much information that is necessary into this video, but if you want to hear all about the specific details for each system, then check out the individual reviews I did for both of these systems. So I'll mainly be covering and comparing sound quality with music and movies, the setup process, ease of use, durability, and what most of us consider to be the top of the list, price. I picked these two systems due to the extreme popularity of both of them. By no means does this video discredit one or the other as a good sound system, but I'm simply trying to narrow down which might be the best for you. Before we get into things, be sure to hit the like button as it helps my channel grow and get this video out to more people. Thanks. Even though you may be tempted to skip this next part, I'd encourage you to tune in. Design is a very important aspect, especially if your home is heavily trafficked by kids, pets, or anything else for that matter. Too many times have I seen systems lose their visual appeal with the cheap materials used to produce them. Fortunately, with these two systems, you aren't getting anything cheap. Starting with the HT-A9. Once you unbox this system, you are met with 4 massive speakers and a control box. I was really surprised with how sturdy the speakers felt. Each speaker has a good bit of weight to it, and they seem to be pretty resilient. I can't imagine if one of these were dropped or knocked over, it would make much of a difference. Not that I've dropped one. The only downside is that they only come in a light gray color. It's a bit odd to see this color as Sony's choice for the HT-A9. Black is usually the go-to color for soundbar systems, unless you are Sonos or Bose, where they offer both black and white colors for most of their soundbar systems. The SA-SW5 subwoofer, which is purchased separately, only comes in black. So it's a little odd to have them paired together, but it doesn't look bad in my opinion. If you have a neutral color room like me, you may not have a problem with gray once you've set the system up. I think it looks really nice and goes well with the room. Since Sony designed and advertised this system to be as versatile as it is, it's going to be a great system for most homes. Being able to move speakers around and adjust them according to the layout of your room is a feature that nothing else out there has right now. I believe this is one major thing that gives the HT-A9 a bit of an edge over the Sonos Arc system. The speakers are also mountable, and if they're aligned well, you can't quite beat the look of them. If I didn't have other soundbar systems to test all the time, then I'd definitely be mounting all of the speakers on my walls. Another benefit of the HT-A9 is that you don't need a physical center channel. What I mean by that is that most systems usually have a physical soundbar that traditionally sits under the TV, while the HT-A9 has what they call a phantom center channel that I'll get into a little further on. But this does allow you to free up space you don't have with other systems. Now for the Sonos Arc system. One thing I do like about Sonos is the multiple color options I've discussed. You can get the Sonos Arc system in either white or black, and I don't think you could go wrong with either of them. What's also really convenient is that you can purchase the components to this system separately. So you can start with the Sonos Arc soundbar, then add the sub and surround speakers later on, whenever you want to. One thing that does make a surprising difference from other systems is how well the design works with almost any living room. From the moment you unbox this system, you'll notice how it's fairly compact, especially compared to other soundbar or surround speakers. Even though it's smaller than other systems, don't let that fool you. This system can put out some seriously great sound and look good while doing it. Overall, this system is truly one of the sleekest looking and most durable you can get. This video is sponsored by Narwal. Narwal's T10 robot mop and vacuum has been an amazing addition to our home. We've used other brands of robot vacuums, but we're never really impressed with them. But the T10 is capable of much more than anything I've ever seen. First off, it's a robot vacuum and mop, with a base station that charges the robot and automatically cleans the mop pads for you. There's also a clean water tank and a wastewater tank built into the base station, so you don't have to worry about it spreading dirty water across your entire floor. Using LiDAR and various algorithms, the T10 will map out the entire floor of your home so it knows exactly where it can go and doesn't get stuck or bump into things every 4 seconds. The app for this thing is extremely impressive and simple to use. Once the robot has mapped out your floor, you can set schedules for when and how often it should clean certain rooms or all of the rooms. A great example is our cat's litter box area. Our cats constantly track litter out of their litter box, and if I don't sweep it up every few days, it's definitely going to make its way around the entire house. But I've set a schedule up to vacuum this area twice a day, then vacuum the whole downstairs once a day. This has kept our downstairs area much cleaner than we've ever kept it before. You can learn more at the link down below. Now, I mentioned the Phantom Center channel earlier. Let me break that down quickly. The Sony HT-A9 with a sub is a 4.1.4 channel system, while the Sonos Arc system is a 5.1.2 channel system. So basically, all high-end soundbar systems have at least 3 channels of audio in the front, a front left, right, and then a center channel. Well, the HT-A9 doesn't have that center channel at all, just a front left and front right channel. So now both of the front speakers share the burden of what should be playing from the center channel. This is mostly dialogue and some other background or ambient sounds mixed in there. The other functional differences between these systems aren't really that big. The Sony HT-A9 has an HDMI 2.1 input, HDMI 2.1 output / eARC port, a network jack, and an S-Center out port used to connect to Sony TVs. The Sonos Arc only has an HDMI eARC port and a network jack. The Sonos components communicate via your existing Wi-Fi network, unless you hardwire the Sonos Arc itself. Then they'll create their own separate internal network to communicate. The HT-A9 control box uses a dedicated frequency to send and receive data to all of the speakers. It doesn't even require Wi-Fi to properly work. For music playback, the Sonos Arc only supports AirPlay, Spotify Connect, and Wi-Fi streaming from connected services in the Sonos app. And that's basically all of the major streaming services out there. You just have to manually connect it in the app first. So yeah, no Bluetooth connectivity for the Sonos Arc. That's a big downside that many people gripe about. It doesn't really bother me, but I know it's a big deal for a lot of people. The HT-A9 has basically every wireless music playback option available. AirPlay, Chromecast, Spotify Connect, Bluetooth, etc. The Sonos Arc doesn't have any remote control and is completely controlled through the Sonos app, but you can adjust the volume using your existing remote control. The HT-A9 comes with a basic looking remote control and a really useful user interface that I went super in depth on my individual review. When it came down to the sound quality while watching movies and TV shows, this was a very difficult one to decide on. If you've seen my previous reviews, you know that I've raved about both of these systems for many different reasons. The differences between these systems were mostly minimal, but there are some important differences to note. All around, Sony did an excellent job with the HT-A9. The most impressive part of this system is the fully enveloping 3D bubble. I've stressed in the past how difficult it is to get accurate surround sound when you have an open concept living room like most homes have. So when I find a system that can do this really well, I really have to commend them. Sony engineers have done some voodoo magic to get the audio processing as good as it is. And that's not to say that the Sonos Arc does a bad job with the 3D audio bubble. It's still really good. But in certain movies, there's a noticeable disconnect in audio when sounds transition around the room, especially overhead. With the Sony system, I didn't experience this at all. It sounds completely seamless in my living room. Now, where the Sonos Arc beats the Sony HT-A9 is with dialogue. This may seem pretty obvious because the HT-A9 doesn't have a center channel, but you'd be surprised how close they actually are. When it's just a quiet scene with 2 people talking, they are extremely similar. I have no preference for one or the other. But when there are many other things going on, that's when the Sonos Arc prevails in dialogue. I really struggled as to which subwoofer I liked more. I think they both sound excellent, but they are quite different. The SW5 offers a powerful and punchy bass that can handle the low notes and deliver those low frequencies that physically shake you, and actually shake itself as well. If you have it sitting on a hardwood floor or vinyl flooring, if it's loud enough, it will actually start sliding backwards. But the Sonos Gen 3 sub has what I think is a more clear, less boomy sound, definitely less shaking because of its force canceling drivers. I honestly think this comes down to personal preference and your living situation. We own our home and are a solid 30 feet away from our neighbors. We also don't have any kids, so I have no issues with very loud, boomy bass. but others may not want this. If this is the case for you, then you may experience better results with Sony's SW3 subwoofer. I haven't personally tested it, but I know that it's far less powerful. But having a more subtle subwoofer like the Sonos Sub is a way to go for places like apartments, townhomes, or any other circumstance where overbearing sound may be an issue. But of course, you can always just volume down the subwoofer in the system settings. So it's not really a huge deal, but if you want to use the full potential of the subwoofer, then the Sonos Sub is probably the better option because of the less vibrations. The Sonos Gen 3 Sub can accurately deliver that desired low end without shaking the whole house due to its two force-canceling subwoofers. It's very good in my opinion and still one of my favorite subwoofers that I've tested. It's just not as loud or as, evident as the SW5. So when it comes to the hard hits and deep bass, that is really going to be up to your circumstances and honestly what you like the most. Now the surround speakers are where I heard the most drastic differences. The HT-A9 surrounds are far superior to the Sonos One SLs. They are much larger and have an upward firing speaker as well. That's a big deal. They also spread the audio out much better than Sonos. This allows the 3D audio bubble to further immerse you into whatever you're watching. Again, that's not to say that the One SLs suck. They are very good speakers, especially for their size. They can put out an incredible amount of audio and sound very clear doing so. But with them going up against a speaker 3 times their size, it is sure to have some shortcomings and not seem all that impressive. The One SLs also seem to be passing the audio back and forth, while Sony had a much cleaner transition in all directions. Overall, I think the Sony HT-A9 system provides a fuller and slightly more detailed audio experience than the Sonos Arc system. It's just really a joy to use. Editor Jonah here. Completely forgot to mention Sonos TruePlay, and that's Sonos's 3D audio processing technology, where it essentially uses your iPhone and it uses the microphone to kind of help calibrate the audio for your specific room. I've done this in my living room, in the studio, in the office space, and it works really, really well with adjusting the audio for your layout of the room. But it doesn't really compare to Sony's 3D audio processing. It makes a marginal difference, definitely worth doing, but nothing near as good as Sony's. So just thought I'd mention that because I completely forgot to. Again, the 3D spatial sound processing is absolutely incredible, and I think this sort of technology will be game-changing in the near future for many other systems. When it comes to music, they are extremely close. There are minor details that if you own both of these systems, you would probably never even know what's missing from one or the other. I mentioned in my individual review of the Sony HT-A9 that I'd argue that it's a close contender to the Sonos Arc system. And after side-by-side testing these with music, I'd say that's still my opinion. For me, I honestly don't have a clear favorite, which is strange because even when testing 4 other systems against the Sonos Arc, I was able to pick my favorite. They both genuinely sound really, really good with all types of music. But there are some key differences to note when it comes to music. Get it? Note, music, because music has no, yeah, okay. Anyways, the Sony Sub is a little more boomy than the Sonos Sub, but the Sonos Sub does have a cleaner sound to it. The HT-A9 does a better job with enveloping the entire room with music, especially when listening to Sony 360 Reality audio tracks on Tidal. But with normal music from Spotify, the difference is not massive by any means. Also, what I really like about Sony's system is the built-in UI taking over when playing any music. Regardless of what the source is, the HT-A9 will display the music information on the TV. So I guess after saying all of that, it sounds like I enjoy the HT-A9 more than the Sonos Arc, which might be slightly true. But with a price difference of $600, I don't think for music alone, the $600 more is worth it. But to each their own. Music is not my top priority when it comes to soundbars or any sound system for that matter. But it might be for some people. If music is really important to you and that's one factor you care about most, I really think Sonos is probably the better decision. With their multi-room technology, it allows you to easily play music to all of your Sonos speakers at the same time. Sony just really doesn't have something like this right now. But if your priority is to make movies and TV shows as immersive as possible, then the HT-A9 is likely going to be one of the best choices out there right now. Overall, if I were going to choose one of these systems for my home entertainment center, I'd go with the Sony HT-A9 based on performance alone. Each system does an amazing job, without a doubt. But when it comes to Sony's near perfect 3D audio, the ability to place the speakers in the most ideal location for your room, and the SW5 subwoofer, it's just an all-around amazing choice. But you do have to consider what those extra details cost. On Crutchfield, you can get the Sonos Arc, Sub, and two 1SLs for $2,046, while the HT-A9 is $2,000, not including the SW5 Sub. So if you want Sony's full system, the HT-A9 and the SW5 Sub, you're gonna be spending over $600 more than you would with the Sonos system. Since price does play the biggest role in choosing a system for most people, it's hard to say if Sony is worth the price difference or not. There are many different factors that play into this, not just pure sound quality. Think about your room layout, how you will use it, and the different features that are most important to you. That'll help you decide which is worth the extra money or not. In my opinion, if the full Sony HT-A9 system is in your budget, by all means, you will not be missing out or be disappointed. But most people wouldn't be disappointed with the Sonos system either. I know I wasn't when I first got it. Another comparison video I'll be making is the Sony HT-A9 versus the HT-A7000 with the recently announced SA RS5 surround speakers. The RS5 surround speakers are, I think, the first modular speakers with upward firing drivers in them. And what I mean by modular is that they can be added to a system later on. You don't have to purchase them with the soundbar itself. This is something I've been requesting for quite some time now, and I'm very happy to see Sony doing this. I really hope the other manufacturers get on board with this very soon. I don't have any information as to when the RS5 speakers will come out, but when they do, I'll be making that video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you know when the video drops. Again, a big thank you to Narwal for sponsoring this video. I recently hired my first full-time employee, Sam, he's actually behind the camera, to help with making these YouTube videos. Sponsorships have made this possible and enable me to make more videos at a higher quality level. So make sure you take a look at Narwal's T10 robot vacuum and mop combo. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.